Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vrishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, the next verse is, it says, one has gone through all these different steps, then what is the result? Here he says, Yajurveda tattvena tu brahma tattvam deepa upa manahena yuktaha prapashir ajam dhruvam sarva tattvai vishuddham natva devam mujyate sarva papahi. So, now, the person has done all of this. Now imagine relaxing your body, then watching your prana, then japa, then meaning of the japa. All this will, please understand, by itself, what does it do? Does it give you knowledge?
It relaxes the mind and gives you the focus.
Absolutely. All these actions only helps you to transform yourself. From that old person who was helpless, who was angry, who was upset, feeling like a victim, to a healthy person who's connected to Ishvara, who's made that effort to get well. But that itself, please don't equate it to knowledge. So we make a very big distinction between being a good person and a wise person. Good person is a person who's taken care of oneself psychologically, helped oneself, has proper attitudes, has invested in understanding something, and lives life responsibly, is a good person. A wise person is another ball game altogether. The wise person is the one who sees oneness and puts one eye not in this body but in that awareness which is limitless. That is a difference. So that means, what is the relationship between a wise and a good person? In order to be a wise person, you first have to be a good person. You can't jump from any person to a wise person. But a good person may not be a wise person. Because a good person can live like an individual who's a responsible individual, who does good things, who makes sure that I don't necessarily hurt anybody. Also is a little bit responsible, has taken care of some psychological issues. This is a good person. So while a wise person cannot be a good person need not be a wise person. That is a relationship. So now, the whole pursuit, so that means here it says, now there is, when you do all these steps of meditation, by themselves, they don't give you knowledge. By themselves, they don't make you a wise person. It makes you what? Prepared for the knowledge. So that means, as I had explained earlier, when you come to Vedanta, there are two kinds of subject matters here. One is what we call praptasya prapti, the gain of something which is already there, and the other one is what? Apraptasya prapti, gain of something which is not already there. Yeah. So that means, now what does it mean? What does it mean, praptasya prapti and apraptasya prapti? So now imagine that you are right now in Rishikesh and you are already planning a Christmas holiday, and you want to go to Greece, for example. So now, the Greece is right now praptasya prapti or apraptasya prapti with reference to you. Where are you? You are in Rishikesh. Where is Greece? Far away, exactly. It's far away. You can't imagine that Greece is here. So, Greece is far away. So, in order for you to to gain so-called Greece, what do you have to do?
Travel.
Travel, exactly. You have to sit in the plane and you have to go. So that means it is away from you, what? It's not there right now, and you need what? Action. You need action. You can't sit here and imagine that you are in Greece. So that means whenever there is a rule, whenever there is apraptasya prapti, you need karma, action. Something which is not there and you want to gain it, you need what? Action. Without action you can't do it. But so as I told you, in this knowledge there are two aspects. One is apraptasya prapti, then I will explain which one is what. Then the other part is praptasya prapti. Praptasya prapti means that now imagine that now this is an example that our teacher was giving, right? I am teaching and then I put my glasses here and then I am so engaged in describing whatever I want to describe that I forget where my glasses are. So when the next verse comes, I am searching for my glasses everywhere. And I am searching and I am searching and I am searching and I never find it. And somebody like Yuta laughs mischievously and she says, okay, I can produce the glasses that you are looking for, but, there is a but, you have to give me something. So that means what? Then she'll say, okay, then I'll say, yeah, but because I'm so wanting to go further, so I said, okay, Yuta, I agree. So then she says, okay, now I'm going to give you the glasses. Now, how is she going to give me the glasses? Where is the glass? It's already with me. So this is what we call praptasya prapti. What is she going to do? She's not going to produce a new glass. There is no karma required. There is no action required whatsoever. All she has to do is to what? Remove my ignorance. Because I already have it, but I have concluded that I don't have it. So what she has to do is, she doesn't have to do anything. She just has to what? Remove my ignorance. It's not that she has to go to my room and get the glasses. She doesn't have to do anything. This is what we call praptasya prapti. In praptasya prapti, there is no knowledge, there is no action. It is only what? Removal of ignorance. Two different kinds of things. Apraptasya prapti, you have to engage in action. There is no, it is not like, yeah, it's enough, I can just imagine I'm in Greece, why should I go there? And that is not. If you want to go to Greece, you have to what? You have to sit in the plane and you have to go there. So that means there are two kinds of pursuit in Vedanta. Praptasya prapti and apraptasya prapti. What is praptasya prapti in Vedanta when it comes to Vedanta? Praptasya prapti is already accomplished. Already accomplished is what? Already accomplished was Atma is limitless. There is nothing that you have to do. You only need to remove your ignorance. But it's not as simple as that, because that also kicks in what? Apraptasya prapti. What is apraptasya prapti? For any knowledge, you need what? The place where knowledge takes place. In any knowledge, whether it is physics or mathematics, any knowledge takes place where? In the mind. So that means you have a Nobel laureate coming and teaching you economics, but you don't know ABCD of economics. You sit in his class very interested, very wanting to learn. What will you get? Nothing, because your absorption, your mind is not ready to receive what he has to show. So this is what, the readiness is what? Apraptasya prapti. It is not yet accomplished. So that means that Atma is already free, but the mind that has to receive this knowledge is not ready. So therefore, in this case, you need what?
Action.
Actions. We are not producing Atma and not making a limited Atma limitless. It is not possible. Anything limited cannot become limitless. That's a logic. Atma is already what? Limitless. And I need to know it as such. And what do I need to do? I need to remove ignorance of who I am. There is no need for an action. You're not making a limited thing limitless. By process of action, you can't make a limited thing limitless. It's not possible. Because the action is limited, the results are going to be limited. A limited person making a limited result, making a limited effort, getting a limited result cannot reach limitlessness. Logic. So therefore, the nature of Atma is praptasya prapti. But in order to contain and to understand limitlessness, one has to prepare one's mind. The mind, in fact, it's interesting that imagine I'm talking about the relationship of awareness with time, space and all that, and what is going on in your mind is, oh, my relationship with my mother-in-law. There is no match. There is no match between what I'm talking about and where your mind is engaged. So what do you have to do? You first need to deal with your mother-in-law to make your mind free, so she doesn't hold you, she doesn't hold your thought processes, so that you can engage a little bit more deeply. So that means whether it's your mother-in-law or your promotions or your money or your house or the world is full of what? Events. And the events and the changing events capture our mind. And they leave an impact. And we keep dwelling on it. And that mind, and then as a result of that, there are corresponding emotions. Our whole mind is cluttered with that. Where is the analysis going to enter? You need to undo the clutter. There is no other way. This is what we call apraptasya prapti. The mind which is not yet focused, you have to make it focused. A mind which is telling stories, which is making you suffer, you have to undo it. The mind which has orientations, which are deep down orientations, I am no good, guilt, hurt, you have to undo that. You need to free it. This is something which is not already accomplished. Please understand, it's not already accomplished. It needs a lot of effort. So therefore, you can't, there are two aspects of this learning. One is already accomplished. People only highlight that and then, oh, I'm already free, I'm already free. Okay, there is a one part which is apraptasya prapti, where there is a lot and lot of effort. Sometimes lifetimes of effort. So therefore, you are working on both. Now, up to now, the meditation that we have talked about, what is it talking about? Tell me. Excellent. We are talking about apraptasya prapti. Why? Because the mind which is not focused, we are trying to make it focused. The mind which is afflicted with emotions, we are trying to bring in Ishvara and heal it so that it is free from all these burdens that we are carrying. These are all what we call apraptasya prapti. So therefore, there is an effort required. This is karma. It is a result of action performed by you. and it requires your free will. Use of free will. Otherwise, it will not happen. So, by definition, we say what? That the dhyanam is a karma. Meditation is an action. And what is the purpose of meditation? To what? Antahkarana shuddhi. Clean up. Clean up the garbage that we are carrying. It's important so that something else can enter. So this is where it is what? It is karma. Dhyanam is karma. And that means, so anything that you do, karma yoga, there are all secondary means of knowledge. They are all meant to make you the person who's ready for the knowledge. The readiness which is not there now, through your effort, you are making yourself ready. Karma. Then there is another part of this knowledge. What is the other part? Praptasya prapti. What is that? Atma is already free, but you feel you are limited. So now, which is the operation required? Same karma? No. The operation is different. What is the operation? Removal of ignorance. Excellent. Because it is praptasya prapti. There is a second operation, removal of ignorance. Now, removal of ignorance, how will you remove ignorance? As I told you, any ignorance that you want to remove, you need to have a pramana, means of knowledge. If you want to remove ignorance of a form, you have a means of appropriate means of knowledge. What is the appropriate means of knowledge?
Perception is
your eyes.
eyes.
If you see if you want to see the form, you need eyes. It's non-changeable. If you want to taste something, you can't put it here and taste. You need your tongue. You need an appropriate means of knowledge. Any knowledge can only take place when there is appropriate means of knowledge. So that means if you want to know how old is the universe, you can't use your perception. Why can't you use your perception?
Because it's not perceivable.
Exactly. It is not perceivable. So if you use wrong means of knowledge, you get into trouble. So which means of knowledge you have to engage in if you want to know how old is the universe? Perception-based inference. Multi-step inference. Lot of logic, very deep logic to figure out how old is the universe. So that means anything that you want to know, there has to be what? A corresponding means of knowledge. You can't change. You can't say, oh yeah, this logic is too difficult. Why can't I just use my perception to know the how old is the universe? It's not up to you. If you want to know a given thing, you have to choose an appropriate means of knowledge. So now, in order to know the truth of I and the truth of the cause of the universe, which of our existing means of knowledge work? You want to remove ignorance about what? My nature. Which means of knowledge is going to work? If Atma was available to you as an object, then you can use perception. Every inference, even if you can't perceive how old is the universe, you need to collect the data which are what? Right there right now. And based on the data of today, you can use the logic and then you can come to what inference that universe is this many years old. So every inference is also ultimately based on perception. So by this method, perception is only about an object. So that means this object, and if Atma is the subject because of which all the objects are known, we have no means of knowledge to know our true nature. This is a fact. Because we don't know and we still need to remove our ignorance, we need an appropriate means of knowledge. So what is that appropriate means of knowledge? It is what we call Vedanta Shastra. The Upanishads use the words, and these words are supposed to be a mirror to make you see what your true nature is. This is why it's a very sophisticated methodology. Because in order for it to be a valid means of knowledge, it has to meet second condition. And what is the second condition?
Cannot be contradicted.
It cannot be contradicted by logic. Otherwise, it becomes all hanging in the air. Any statement I make and I say, oh, it's means of knowledge. Atma is blue in color. There. Why? How did you arrive at it? You can't see it, but you need it's some special experience. This is how people make.
Like Wizard of Oz.
Exactly. So this is why, in fact, Atma is not available for perception. You need an independent means of knowledge, and that independent means of knowledge is Vedanta. It reveals your true nature, and the strength of Vedanta comes from the non-contradictability of Vedanta. This is why we use logic very rigorously. We make a statement to demonstrate what Upanishads are saying which you otherwise cannot know, and secondly we postulate and we say, if you take it like this, or if you take it like that, or if you take it like this, you have many different contentions, and we show logical fallacy in everything. So this is for praptasya prapti, part of Vedanta. No, you want to know Atma as Brahman, you need Upanishads. In these Upanishads, there are three operations which are required. There is what we call Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Three operations. The first, people actually, Shravanam people translate loosely. And they say, Shravana means hear Vedanta. It's not just hearing Vedanta. Shravanam is a technical process. Shravanam is what we call Tatparya Nishchaya. Tatparya Nishchaya means it's a big thing. Tatparya Nishchaya means if Upanishads are revealing what my true nature is, and 5 people are looking at Upanishads, and 5 people are saying something different about what Upanishad is saying, I need to figure out what?
Which one is correct?
Which one is correct. This is the rigor. You can't take a position, people are telling different things, and you said, yeah, let everybody be right. It's not possible. Praptasya prapti means it's one thing and you have to understand it as that. So this is what we call Tatparya Nishchaya. So this is what we do. So that means there are what we call Astika schools. In Brahma Sutra we saw that. Astika schools means they all take Vedas as a pramana. But each one of them has a different idea about the nature of Atma. And they are all trying to say, my version is right. Now what do you need to do? You need to examine each version and then what? Argue. You need to enter into a discussion. Every truth is arrived at like that. There is no thing which is just, yeah, it's there, so yeah, let me take it like that. There is nothing like that. You need to engage in a dialogue. This is what Namu was saying, that Shankaracharya engages in dialogue with Sankhya, with Yoga, with Nyayayika, with Vaisheshika, because they are all looking at the Vedas, they are all looking at Upanishads, and they all have different conclusions about what Upanishad is saying. So that means, Shravanam means, if I want to hear what Upanishad says, I first need to determine which of the 5 versions I am going to give my full attention to. Otherwise, if you have not done that, anybody comes and says anything, you'll start believing. And this is how people are taken for a ride. Because people don't use their brain to ask themselves, does it make sense or not? We are just carried away by charisma. Oh, this person looks so wonderful. Oh, I see some light. Oh, his beard is long, so he must be very wise. We all go by external, go by very superficial things about what we don't use the rigor. So the first thing is what Shravana means, not just hearing. Hearing with what?
Judgment and reason.
Critical mind.
Reason.
Strong reasoning. This is what will avoid you to be taken for a ride by any human being. When you start accepting unreasonable ideas without questioning, and if you have a question, you delegate it because you are so charmed by the person, then you can be taken. If you are very lucky, you'll come to the right person and there'll be, but otherwise you can be taken for a ride. So that means critical thinking has to be used in Vedanta. There is no way, oh yeah, the teacher says, so let me accept. Oh, this Upanishad says, sounds like, okay, yeah, up to now I haven't found any argument, so let me take it like that. It's not like that. It's rigorous. So that means, that is Shravana. So that means I have to decide what is the Atma that Upanishad is talking about. We saw, just very briefly, the Purva Mimamsaka's point of view is what? That you are just one jiva who travels from what? One body to the other and from one loka to the other. So, what is the purpose of life? Do good karma, which is not only going to give you better births here, but also going to give you what? Better places like heaven. For a given length of time, then you come back and you do more karmas and you go nice places. So what is Atma? The traveling entity which goes from one place to the other. They are looking at the Vedas and this is their conclusion. Purva Mimamsaka. What is Sankhya saying? What is this Nayayika and Vaisheshika saying? They are very close to science. They say that there are Parmanus, there are Anus, and the whole creation is what? Permutation and combination of some 4 or 5 different things. This is their contention. They are looking at Vedanta. They are looking at the Vedas. They have a different conclusion. Then Sankhya, they have their own philosophy, that there is one Purusha, there is one Prakriti, and nature of ignorance is Prakriti and Purusha got mixed up. Sounds little bit like Vedanta, but it's not. And then you have to separate Purusha from Prakriti. Then Yoga is Sa Ishvara Sankhya, the way Shankaracharya put. In those times, what was the school? So that means for them, there it still operates within duality. They say there is Prakriti, they add one more element. There is Prakriti, there is Purusha, and what makes Prakriti and Purusha as though join Ishvara? So there are 3 entities. Prakriti, Purusha and Ishvara. All looking at Upanishads. Then you have Vishishta Advaita. What is Vishishta Advaita saying? Vishishta Advaita is saying, hey, all that is here is Ishvara. Like what we are saying. And who are you? You are one
Jiva.
small little manifestation of Ishvara. You are Jiva, which is just one of the many manifestations of Ishvara. So there is only one entity which is Ishvara, and what is your relationship with that Ishvara?
Manifestation.
You are one of the manifestation, one of the many manifestations of Ishvara. They're all looking at the same text. And what does Vedanta say?
Oneness.
There is a complete vision of oneness. There is an as though distinction in upadhi between you and Ishvara. You are one of the manifestation. Ishvara is what? The entire manifestation. Not only entire manifestation what is here now, but what was before, what is going to be later, manifest, unmanifest, everything. Different upadhi. But if you look at the content, there is what? Only one. So that means your Shravana first has to be what? What is Vedanta talking about? Is it talking about this or it is talking about that? Once you have ascertained through use of extensive logic that actually Vedanta is talking about oneness, and that oneness does not mean you have to what? Resolve all the duality. Does not mean that. One more form does not create duality. That is what you have to understand. If you are looking at the substance, so that means if there are 5 ornaments made up of gold, you are counting 5 where your attention is on forms. If your attention is on content, how many content? How many? Only one, gold. If you take out the gold, which of the 5 forms of ornament will remain? None. If you add one more form, is it threatening the oneness? It doesn't threaten the oneness. If you add 100 more, does it threaten the oneness? It doesn't. Knowledge. So this is what, once you have understood that this is what Vedanta is talking about, then when you listen, you hopefully will, go to a teacher who is teaching you, or maybe after a long tour, you come finally to the teacher. And while the teacher is demonstrating, if your mind is all, oh yeah, let me feel something good and all, your mind will say, this person is talking all theory. I want to feel good. I want to practice. So that means, even if you come to the teacher, you will reject the teacher. Because your mind is not ready for that demonstration. You are in your own trip. So therefore, even for mind to abide and begin to see the logic and begin to say, oh my God, this is amazing pursuit. It's against everything that I thought, but it is non-contradictable. That is what will make you stay with the process of Shravana.
What is the point at which different individuals come to this knowledge? Like, remember you said that Krishna and Arjun have known each other for so long.
So long, yes.
And yet, it was only when Arjun asked Krishna that
Yes.
Yes. Gave him the knowledge. Until
Yes.
then, he had the knowledge, but he just didn't give it to him. So, what is that turning point, and how does one trigger it, or sort of, hope that it happens?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. See, the beginning of this Upanishad starts with a person asking the question. Person asking the question, where am I coming from? What is my relationship with the universe? Is there a cause of the universe? And if there is, what is my relationship with it? Now, what makes a person ask these questions can be many different things. Our teacher used to say, actually, many times, it can come out of just one curiosity. Somebody can be quite happy doing things well, quite successful, and still that question can come. Is that all there is to life, or there is something more? There are people like that. But most of the time, my teacher used to say, people go through crisis. Most of the time, people are in an emotional mess. They can't handle, and they are frantically looking for some solution. And but that itself is, there is some grace which brings them to Vedanta. Because it can take you anywhere, it can make you a criminal, it can make you anybody. So that means there is some, that's why that avoiding unpleasant, it doesn't get you anywhere. If you stay with the unpleasant, then probably it will take you to Vedanta, where you are really looking for answers. So that means in the methodology itself, Shravana means a lot of teaching takes place as to substantiating why what Vedanta says is what it says. That is part of Shravana. Listen to what is the vision of Vedanta, and if you take it any other way, what are the logical fallacies? This is a methodology, method of teaching. Then there is second aspect of pramana which you have to do. Let's say you're sure now that you don't have a doubt that Vedanta is talking about one Atma, which is Brahman. And the Ishvara and Jiva are two different upadhis of one Atma. You understand? And the relationship between Atma and the Upadhi is that of Satya and Mithya. You understand? So Mithya does not create one more reality. Mithya is only what? That given form and the name for that given form. You understood that. But to really understand, you say, okay, now I get what Vedanta is saying, but before you call it your understanding, what happens? A lot of little doubts and, oh yeah, but why? Then your mind itself, but why not like that? But why not like that? Not maybe those doubts that are all, even if there are doubts which are already explained by the teacher, you may still have those doubts. But even if you are somehow convinced about those doubts, you still may have some more doubts. So that means in that process of praptasya prapti, there is a second function, which is what? Mananam. Mananam is what? Removing all my doubts, removing all my vaguenesses. I have understood what Vedanta wants to say, but before I say it, Vedanta's understanding has become my understanding. It's not like I kind of understand Vedanta and it seems like right to me. That is not what it is. Because I don't really come up, I'm a reasonably intelligent person and I don't come up with any real logical problems with it. So I kind of take it. This is not enough. That means there has to be more and more and more rigor. It is not like this is Vedanta's vision and I am accepting it. It is become my vision. Difference. Manana. I see it. I see it as clear as daylight. There is no doubt in my mind. Using that pramana, I see the reality where just as the sun is shining in front of me and I have no doubt. Like that. Every aspect of this teaching has to shine in your mind with clarity. You can't say, yeah, that Atma part is clear to me, but this Ishvara part is not yet clear. It is a partless whole. That means you are still in the process. Please don't call it I understand Atma, because Atma can never be understood without what? The limitlessness of Atma can never be understood without bringing in Ishvara. Because there is only one entity which survives time, space and object, and that is Ishvara. If you eliminate Ishvara, where have you understood Atma? So don't say I understand Atma but Ishvara is what I am struggling with. You haven't understood Atma. Say that, because that is the truth. Each part of the teaching is very intricately connected to the other. The understanding of the whole, you can't have holes in understanding of the whole. So this is where this whole process of deeply making the vision of Vedanta your vision, that process is called Manana. Manana means it requires engaging. It removes, you have a doubt, yeah, but it doesn't. So you ask yourself, what is it about Ishvara that bothers me? Ask yourself. Because only when you ask yourself and answer it, then only it will become your vision. Otherwise, yeah, somehow you're demonstrating some Ishvara and okay, I kind of get it, it's okay. It will not touch you. So that means it has to become your vision. That process is what Manana. The third component of this pramana pravritti is nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam is what? Saying again and again this reality for me. Because we are a little bit disadvantaged because we come with an orientation of I am this small entity. This is orientation of everyone. From this orientation to switch to I am the whole is not easy. Because this orientation is not only this lifetime orientation, this is the orientation of billions of lifetime orientation. This is what we call jiva, billions of lifetimes. And the minute you open your eyes, it confirms my orientation, that everything is separate from me. So that means that pramana, and what pramana says and what you have understood with the vision, with the help of Upanishads and the teacher, has to what? You need to bring it in your mind again and again and again. This is called nididhyasana. Seeing the facts that Vedanta is talking about. So that is what we call praptasya prapti. That means we make a distinction between dhyanam and nididhyasana. Dhyanam is what? This is Carl's question. What is dhyanam? It's a karma. What is the karma? It is for what? Apraptasya prapti. The mind which is not focused now, you are making it focused. Mind which is telling stories, you are making it what? More deliberate. The mind which is suffering from emotions, you are using some aspects of Ishvara to heal it. A mind which is not yet healed, you are healing it. Karma. Using your will. Bringing little aspects of teaching to help yourself, to prepare yourself for the knowledge. Apraptasya prapti. Nididhyasanam is not apraptasya prapti. It is what? Praptasya prapti. You are contemplating on something where what is shravanam, mananam, and once you have understood, or when you are trying to understand, you are bringing it into your mind again and again, that this is what Upanishads are saying about I, this is what Upanishads are saying about Ishvara, this is what Upanishads are saying about the universe, and how does it all reconcile? How does it all kind of fit into each component fits into the other to make one coherent vision. that is what we call Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is not karma, it is pramana. Pramana means it is within the operation of pramana. Seeing the realities and facts again and again and again. It requires like that because we are dealing with orientation which is an age-old orientation. Bringing it into your mind. This is why sometimes, in Nididhyasana it's a mental activity. But sometimes our teacher used to say, see, initially you have to sit and do Nididhyasana. Later on, our teacher used to say you can be walking by the Ganga and you're contemplating on Vedanta and very deeply trying to, the doubts, if they come, you resolve. Then, you are bringing, okay, this is what Vedanta is saying. Then seeing how each part fits into the other to create one coherent vision. Seeing if there are any gaps or not, what do you need to refine, where do you need to bring more nuances, all that has to be done.